as we move into the autumn and into the winter, it's good to be adaptable and flexible physically and mentally. So I'm going to be sharing with you some key points to stimulate, to bolster your immune system, and also to make you more resilient to stress, and also to help elevate your mood. So balancing that emotional and mental side of things. So the first Marma point that we're going to explore is called Parsvasandhi, and that means the side of the waist. So this point relates to the kidneys and the adrenals, which are these little pyramidal shaped glands on top of the kidneys that release cortisol, adrenaline, noradrenaline in response to stress. And when we're exposed to stress excessively and the adrenaline levels are high, we are prone to nervousness, and over long periods of time, this could lead us to be susceptible to either exhaustion or even burnout. So the stimulation of this point is also said to increase ojas, and in Ayurveda, ojas is the essence of all bodily tissues. So it's responsible for resistance to disease and provides the foundations for happiness and a peaceful mind. So in order to find and locate that Marma point for Parsvasandhi, it's going to be in the lower back, and it's said to be 4-finger distance from the T12 L1. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, T12. And then if you measure 4 fingers distance from there, basically where the 4 fingers is laterally, and I'll just show you on me, that is where you will find this specific Marma. Okay, so I'm holding my hands by my sides as if I'm Superman or as if you're Wonder Woman. It's kind of like a C-clamp. And I'm kind of like at the top of the waist. And as I'm hugging my sides, where my thumbs naturally lie is literally at this point. Okay, and as I'm pressing in, it's as if I'm actually hitting a wall of muscle in the lumbars. It's actually the superior lateral border of the quadratus lumborum. And if I wanted to be really specific with finding the point, what I'd do is I would trace my fingers around the hip until I met this strong fascial wall just at the side of the spine. That would be the quadratus lumborum, and I would follow that muscle up to its superior attachment, which is actually at the floating rib, at the last floating rib, the 12th rib. And then as you go superior and medially, you will be on this point. So it's directly kind of related to the kidneys and adrenals. And what we would do is we would press it 18 times. So that would be gentle but firm. And it would be 1, 2, 3, and release. 2, 2, 3, and release. 3, 2, 3, and release. 4, 2, 3, and release. And we would do that 18 times in a row, and then just sit still and tune into any subtleties and how you feel. So that's Parsvasandhi. This next Marma region is particularly good for elevating your mood and lifting your spirits, making you feel a bit more buoyant on that emotional level. So Clicka Tika, literally meaning the joint in the neck, it's a point just at the base of the skull, and it's really important for increasing circulation of blood to the brain. It's also very good for posture. It's good for releasing any tension in the head, neck, and shoulders. So it gets into the trapezius muscle and the splenius capitis muscle, which is another muscle in the back of the neck. And we know as we go into the winter, we end up bracing ourselves against the cold. Kind of like we brace ourselves when we're stressed and tensioned, and it's almost as if we're hiding like a turtle in a shell. So it's good to draw yourself out of that, kind of like melt any of the tension or the stiffness there. So on that emotional level, it also helps to mitigate emotions such as sadness and restlessness. It just generally makes you feel more elevated and more up. So in order to locate it, it's at the base of the skull. And what we're going to do is we're going to be interlacing our fingers to the webbing and placing our hands at the back of the head. And we're going to be massaging the base of the skull with this soft part of the base of the thumb here, the thenar eminence. Okay, so I'll just show you what it looks like from behind. So Clicka Tika literally meaning the joint in the neck, and that's where we're going to be getting into the top of the cervicals, the base of the skull, interlacing those fingers to the webbing, and we're going to be massaging that suboccipital groove, as it were, with that soft part, that fleshy part of the thumb. Just make sure the shoulders are relaxed, the back and the sides of the neck are long, and that your breath is easy. Make your breaths long and equanimous, forehead relaxed, jaw relaxed. And what we do is we literally squeeze our hands together, kind of giving a nice little massage and a bit of a squeeze to the base of the skull and the top of those cervicals, and then releasing. And we'll do 18 of these strokes just along the base of the skull towards the midline, and then releasing. So 18 of these movements to get into that Clicka Tika Marma. And then after you've done that, you can just place your hands down on your lap. Tune into how you feel, your breath, the space that you may have created for yourself as a result of stimulating that Marma region. So the last point we're going to stimulate today is Adipati, which is on the top of the skull, and it means the Lord of all. So it's good for increasing and balancing pranic energy or life force energy throughout the body as a whole. And on an emotional level, it relieves anxiety, worry, and grief. And it also opens up your higher perceptual powers, which is great to perform pre-meditation. So in order to locate this point, what we can do, there's two ways of locating it. The first one is by actually just taking your thumb to the tip of your nose and then bringing your middle finger to the top of the head, the sagittal kind of suture, or that kind of point where the sutures actually meet. That is pretty much where it's going to land, where the coronal suture meets the sagittal sutures, and with the middle finger there. And then we'll be stimulating it 18 times, 3 seconds each time. The other way of locating it is to actually just get the base of the wrist to the bridge of the nose. And then if you take your middle finger from here, where it lands will also be directly on that Ardhipati point. So this point is of vital importance. It's like if you don't have time to stimulate all of the other points to generate emotional stability or balance, you can just come to the ones on the top of the head and it will have that top down kind of cascading positive effect. So like I said, the base of the wrist towards the bridge of the nose, and then where the middle finger is, that's where where it falls, that is where we're going to stimulate, and we'll be pressing this point 18 times, 3 seconds and releasing. 3 seconds and releasing, 3 seconds and releasing. And then after you've performed the necessary amount of stimulations, then you just close your eyes, bring your hands to your knees, hands on top of the thighs, and just tuning in to how you feel.